coming up on Nittany Game Week.
What I don't know is what I'm excited to find out.
Dan Lanning and the Ducks are about to experience one of the toughest environments in college football. What the Nittany Lions need to accomplish in order to outlast Oregon in the whiteout. PSU's secondary is deep and talented. We tell you how their matchups on the outside can dictate the end result of this game in our scouting report.
I think it's a really big opportunity for Drew Aller and the offense to come through on a big stage.
And the host of College Game Day, Rece Davis, along with the rest of the crew, are in State College for the whiteout, the one place he will definitely visit when he's in town, and why he's eager to see if Penn State meets the moment. This is Nittany Game Week. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Nittany Game Week. I'm Todd Sadowski, alongside former Nittany Lions coaches Jay Paterno, obviously ready for the whiteout already, and Tom Bradley. All right, feels like the season is about to receive a huge jolt, a whiteout with Penn State and Oregon. What are you guys looking forward to the most for this matchup between the Nittany Lions and the Ducks?
Let's be honest. This is the game everybody's been talking about all summer. Everybody. And they played 3 games, looked okay, had an off week. So a chance to find out what this is all about and what kind of season we're really looking at.
And also you're going to find out what they have in their arsenal, not just because they've been holding things back. They've been waiting for this game.
Now look, coming off a bye week, PSU only 4-7 against Big Ten teams since 2014. I stole that from last week's trivia question. How the crowd can be a factor, the way they stack up when the Lions have the ball, and what should concern Penn State when the Ducks are on offense in our opening drive. And we got to start with something very funny. Would love to see the visitors stumble out of the blocks on Saturday night. The Ducks mascot loses his head before their home opener, has to run back into the tunnel. But that's not likely to happen. Oregon not intimidated by many environments. What's it like to coach in this game with this next level of noise and chaos?
Well, when you're on offense and you're at home, it's not that bad because the crowd gets quiet for you. When you're on defense, like Tom had to deal with all those years, they've got to communicate with each other verbally, and that becomes really difficult.
It does, and that's one of the things you got to make sure. You're using a lot of different hand signals and a lot of different things that you've got to practice during the week, and you get spoiled a little bit at Penn State because the practice is quiet and this and that. You've got to get to bring in the noise into the practices so they're used to dealing with it.
It's the first visit to Happy Valley in 61 years for Oregon. The whiteout tradition began in 2004 with a student section whiteout. Full whiteout started in 07 versus Notre Dame. PSU 11-6 in those full stadium whiteouts. This is only the second one when both teams are ranked in the top 10. Coach Franklin wants the crowd to be a big factor in the end result.
Need to have a distinct home field advantage. We always do, but I'm expecting this to be an environment like no one has ever seen. I know a good portion of our fans like to sit down except for third downs and red zone and what they consider critical times of the game. But I'm challenging everybody. This is a 4-quarter, one play at a time, first, second down, third down, fourth down, punts, kickoff coverage, that we need to be on our feet screaming a collective battle cry in the stadium.
Well, the crowd's effort level was tremendous watching Tyler Warren take direct snaps and leaping over the pile in their shutout of Washington last year in the whiteout. They've been waiting patiently for a game with some drama. A victory probably sends the students storming onto the field.
Well, Todd, having to coach up Penn State's fans about how to handle a whiteout is like coaching Tom Brady how to play quarterback. They're the best that ever was. But when you look at it, there's lots of talents on both sides of the ball. Tom, one of the best things that happened for a defense in a game of this magnitude are the false starts from the offense. That noise is really important.
That noise I don't think people understand that noise. Being down on the field and listening to it, it's absolutely crazy what goes on.
Games exactly like this one are part of the reason Drew Aller, Nick Singleton, Katron Allen, Nick Dawkins, veteran players decide to return for unfinished business. And Jay, a fast start is easier said than done, especially for a team with struggles early in their first couple of games.
No question about it. They've been slow out of the gate. They're going to need to be. Oregon, when you look at in their opening drives and in the first drive, the second half, they've scored 7 touchdowns in 8 possessions. So they are really good at the start of both halves. If Penn State gets behind, then that's a different situation for Penn State. They want to get started.
Well, it's a new trio of receivers, and tight end Luke Reynolds replaces Warren. For Aller, he's been working with and talking to his guys to figure out where each player is comfortable on the field.
Every receiver is different. Like maybe one receiver would prefer a back shoulder ball in a certain position, and maybe one's just like, no, I want to be able to go track the ball down the field. And I think those conversations have helped us out in the pass game through the first 3 weeks, and really excited to just, again, keep building off our pass game.
Third down conversions through the air have to improve, and it should as Aller and his receivers continue to become more and more familiar with each other. So from witnessing the Big Ten championships, we know what it looks like if the Lions do not get off to a fast start against Oregon. There's a lot of fast ducks swimming all over the field for the defense to cover. And here's a quick look at the success of Oregon head coach Dan Lanning, former defensive coordinator at Georgia. First season as the main guy was 2022 at Oregon. 39-6 overall record, 10-6 versus ranked teams, 4-4 versus top 10 teams. So, Jay, you're always armed with the numbers. One of the more fascinating early season stats for these two teams, pass efficiency. Oregon on offense, ranked in the top 10. Actually, on both sides of the ball, Penn State's defense is 6th in the country in pass efficiency.
Where Penn State's going to have to improve is Penn State is 67th in the country in passing efficiency right now. And, Tom, that's a thing where, you know, if you can get them off track, and so much of that comes from pass rush, Tom, and that's a strength of Penn State. They're going to have to rely on that.
But I think you got to look at the games they've played so far. You know, who's been in them and where they've been. You know, did you really need to do certain things? And I don't think you did. So I'm sure you're going to get to see the whole gauntlet this week.
Well, they're going to have to show everything they have against the Ducks. It's a defense that certainly has the attention of Coach Lanning and the visitors from the West Coast.
Defensively, there's multiple and disruptive as anybody will play. They got great edge play. Nittany Sutton is one of the better defensive edge players in the league and in the nation. They've got good play in the back end as well. They do a great job overlapping and have a lot of variety of schemes.
And we'll hear more from Coach Lanning a little later, including what he's heard about playing in the whiteout. Needless to say, it's a fascinating matchup and one our coaches can't wait to break down even more. They play a serious chess game on offense. How the Nittany Lions can avoid checkmate coming up in our scouting report. More Nittany Game Week is on the way.
The opening drive is sponsored by R&R Express. Every shipment moved contributes to autism research and inclusion through the Excel Foundation. Learn more at wearerr.com. Nittany Game Week is brought to you by West Shore Home, official partner of Penn State football.
Welcome back to Nittany Game Week. Some teams are just more fun to dissect than others. The Oregon Ducks, for example, speedy, strong, about to swim into the Nittany Lions' backyard. Coach Bradley, Coach Paterno, I'm not sure if fun is the way to describe scouting a roster this good. Intriguing and next-level challenge is probably more appropriate.
The hard thing is to figure out what to include and what to keep out, because you could do so much with these guys because they do a lot of different things. But let's start with the Oregon offense. A lot of fun to watch, players to watch. Dante Moore, this is his 10th start in college. DeCorian Moore is a big-time wideout. You're going to be watching him on Sundays. Sadiq had 2 touchdowns against Penn State last year, 31 plays of 20-plus yards in 4 games, a big number. A lot of running backs, 5 running backs in their game plan, 2 of them in the backfield at the same time. Sometimes they line them up at wideout. Whittington had 80 yards against Penn State last year. Davison has 6 touchdowns. He's their red zone back and makes them so good in the red zone. And up front, as if all that isn't enough, they're veteran, 163 starts. They're big. Watch the matchups in the tackle position against Penn State's pass rush. They've only given up 1 sack in 4 games, and I think Penn State will be able to get past them. Now, here's the chess match, Tom. Yep. You look at it and say, okay, they've got the RPO run game with the quarterback and big-time running backs. They got the dual-threat quarterback. They got big play wideouts you got to pay attention, and they got a big-time tight end. So there's a lot of people to deal with here. And if you make the chess match move to stop the run because Oregon wants to run, now you're stuck outside, Tom, and how much pressure does that put on you?
Well, that puts a lot of pressure on you, but the one thing here we've talked about is this big play wideouts, big-time tight end. The one thing you don't want to do, don't give them any big plays. Make them earn everything they get.
No question about it. Now, let's talk about starting fast. Since Dan Lanning got to Oregon in 45 games. They have 187 points in the first drive of games. That's 4.1. That's really, really good. Against Oregon State, 7 plays. They gave a bunch of matchups, a bunch of formations, 84 different potential combinations as you scout them. Now, here against Oregon State, they have 2 running backs in the game, 2 tight ends in the game. They're going to pull the guard and pull the backside tight end, and the defense is going to flow with that fake. They want to run the ball, Tom.
They definitely want to run the ball. They want to get it going, and they want you to get up around the ball. So then, guess what? A lot of lanes to throw the ball.
And you can see when they get in the open field, if you are a step off, that could be 7 points. They're really, really good with that. Now, let's talk about the next thing. Red zone and third downs. They are among the best teams in the country in both those. 100% in the red zone, 80% touchdown red zone production. Here they motion to reveal the coverage, so now this young quarterback knows what you got. But Tom, the pass protection is really good, and now he can pick his spots when they can't get to him.
I think that point you just made is the key one. The pass protection has been excellent so far this year.
I mean, he could make a sandwich back there and smoke a cigar with that one, but he does. Very decisive. Now let's flip over to the defensive side of the ball. Again, as much as the offense gets a lot of attention, they're very good on defense too. They're among the top 15 defenses in the country. They get good pass rush from Mateo, the defensive end outside. The linebackers are really active. The cornerback, Brandon Finney, is a freshman. Everybody chased him from Maryland. They are very much an NFL style like you and I talked about. They're not worried about getting a lot of tackles for losses. They're worried about holding up the double teams, playing the gaps, and letting the linebackers run and make plays.
No question about it. I think the one thing that they're able to do is those front 4, they don't have to bring a lot of people. They control this line of scrimmage.
No question. Now, let's talk about the next part of it. Now, one of the things they like to do on third downs, they're really good on third downs, 5-man pressure, and then they lock you up outside or try to, and then they read routes inside. And Tom, look at how effective they are here. Just driving on that route, they are among the top 5 teams in the country in deflecting passes and breaking them up. And so that's going to be something to watch for. And now, Tom, when you got linebackers that can read routes and make interceptions. These guys have 3 interceptions in 4 games. How important is when a quarterback stares or for not to stare for those linebackers?
Well, that's what the linebacker's looking for. Look at the quarterback's eyes.
Yep.
He's going to tell you where he's throwing the ball.
And Mixon is the linebacker here. He sees him looking at that running back all the way, makes the play, and then not only that, does something with it after it.
Thank you, coaches. Of course, this meeting with Oregon and Happy Valley has been one of the marquee matchups everyone in the Big Ten is talking about. This summer, I was in Las Vegas for the conference media days and slipped in a question about the whiteout to Coach Lanning.
What I don't know is what I'm excited to find out, right? It's supposed to be an unbelievable environment. I know it's a well-coached team with a lot of talent, so it's going to be fun. You know, I was at Pitt at one point in my career and got to kind of experience from a distance what that Penn State field was like, and I know that there's a lot of pride around that program. There's a lot of fans that care. You don't fill up a stadium with 100,000 people unless there's some pride in performance. So getting to see that firsthand will be fun.
And when he was asked about it on Monday of this week, he said, "We'll play the team, not the occasion. An opponent can prepare all they want. It's not the same until you experience the real thing." Nittany Lions, a very slight favorite in the game. Up next, our Impact interview with one of the seminal voices in college football, ESPN College Game Day host Rece Davis. We'll ask him what it's like to control chaos for several hours on a Saturday morning in front of Old Main. Nittany Game Week returns after this.
Impact Interview is sponsored by the Pocono Mountains, where small-town charm meets big adventures. Book your trip today by visiting PoconoMountains.com.
Well, welcome back to Nittany Game Week. Muscle Shoals, Alabama. Well, it's the home of the Swampers, of course. Everyone knows that. And our Impact interview guest, Rece Davis. He stayed in state to go to college at Bama and is truly one of the most important voices in our game in college football. The host of ESPN's College Game Day. Rece, thanks so much for carving out what I know is a really busy week of preparation.
No, thank you guys for having me. We're really excited to bring the show back to Penn State. I'm really happy that it's a night game, so we can be there on Old Main. So it'll be a great morning on Saturday morning. We've even cooked up a little surprise for everybody there, so I'm hoping everybody will come out, be early, be loud, and get ready for that game against the Ducks Saturday night.
Well, anytime McAfee's involved, there's going to be a surprise or something that's coming on. But look, you're coming to Happy Valley this weekend. When the game day location is confirmed and you know that's where you're going, what are some of the images, what are some of the things that you think of right away when you know you're going to be, you mentioned Old Main, but that you're going to be coming to State College?
Well, the first thing is I've got, I try to be a man of not many vices, but one of them is sweets. So I will be going to the Creamery, and I am a big fan of Peachy Paterno. I like, the fruit flavored ice cream. That's a delicious thing. I'll be doing that. But in terms of the show, I think the first thing I think of is 2017. And I've told this story, I might have told you guys before, but I always in the scene set, the open of the show, try to capture the spirit and the essence, some of the things that are unique to the place where we are that maybe fans elsewhere might not be as familiar with. So with the chant, "We want the lion," and crowd surfing the lion to the top of Beaver Stadium, we had the idea of having the lion crowd surf back across our crowd. And then it came up that maybe we would have Lee Corso do it too. And so I was, it was, I guess, starting my third year on the show, and I asked Lee if he would do it, and he said, yeah, we'll do it. Well, as the day went on Friday, I started to get more and more nervous about it. Our security team started getting a little more nervous about it. They weren't sure if the crowd would put him down so that he would get back to the set in time for the open of the show after coming to your city. So right before the show started, we're probably 60 seconds to air. Our director at the time, Rodney Perez, got in my ear and said, "Hey, RD, security doesn't like this at all. They want to pull the plug. Tell coach to come back to the set." And I said, "Okay, no problem." So I said, "Open me up so Lee can hear me." And I told him, I said, "Hey, LC, security's worried you're not going to get back in time. We're going to scrap this. We'll just let the lion do it by himself." And LC goes, "Hell no, sweetheart. We're doing it. Let's go." And it was one of the great opens to the show, and it was so cool. And Lee loved doing stuff like that. And I thought the crowd enjoyed it. People at home loved it. And I think that's the first thing I think of whenever that and the hospitality that we're always shown when we come to Penn State.
Well, you kind of segued right into my next question. I mean, as the quarterback of Game Day at a live television event, how hard is it to manage that in real time?
Jay, I got to tell you, I really think that the guys that I've got a great team around me. I know that sounds cliched, but everybody wants the good of the show. And so there's a lot of cooperation and there's a lot of understanding. And I also appreciate that they all are very gracious about allowing me to challenge them. Now, look, I'm not going to challenge Nick Saban about, "Well, Nick, I don't know if a cornerback should really keep his feet underneath his shoulders. Sometimes a wide stance," I'm not going to challenge him on something like that. But if we want to talk about whether a team should have punted or gone for it, whether they should make a quarterback change, whether that schedule is, indicative of whether a team is good or not, all of those things are reasonable points of discussion. And they're all extraordinarily generous in terms of accepting that.
Hey, Rece, the whiteout game is always bigger and better when both teams are really good. Penn State and Oregon, what are some of the things you'll be anxious to see on Saturday night?
I think just seeing both of them challenged for the first time. I mean, I think it's probably a little trite to say, well, neither of them played anybody. We don't know if they're good. Yes, we do. You can watch both of these teams play and know that they're both very good. I want to see how Drew Aller, some of his new receivers, fare on this big stage. And one of the themes that you've seen in the early part of the season is when young quarterbacks make their first road start in really difficult environments. And Dante Moore's been around a little bit more than some of the other young guys who we've seen this year. But, kind of got baptized by fire at UCLA. I'm not sure that even then he had anything on the road that will approximate what he's about to face on Saturday night.
Thanks to Rece for the time. Make sure you go to NittanyGameWeek.com for the entire conversation with College Game Day host Rece Davis, along with our other web-exclusive content like our Nittany Connect network of businesses and the Nittany Game Week podcast. Don't go anywhere. Still to come, a bye-week scrap metal. Tom recognizes a unit on the defense off to a solid start. that will need a special performance against Oregon. We're heading into the final minutes on Nittany Game Week.
Scrap Metal is sponsored by Burke and Bradley Orthopedics. Located in Pittsburgh, Burke and Bradley Orthopedics is a comprehensive sports medicine practice, providing patients with the most current and innovative approaches in diagnosis and treatment.
No game last weekend, still a chance to recognize a group of players that are playing at a very high level consistently through the first 3 games, Tom.
I've spent a minute or two with defensive backs, and it's not easy being the last line of defense. The Nittany Lions secondary is doing a nice job in run support and being very aggressive on short pass routes. The entire unit is creating turnovers, whether it's recovering fumbles or getting interceptions. That leads to excellent field position and points for the offense. No doubt they are deep and talented. They're going to have to play smart and fast against Oregon.
It's trivia time. Last week's question: since 2014, Penn State has played 11 games against Big Ten teams after a bye week. What was their record in those games? 4-7. Joe O'Connor of Rockledge, Pennsylvania was our winner. This week's question: Penn State and Oregon first played in the 1960 Liberty Bowl in Philadelphia Municipal Stadium. In 1964, the stadium was renamed. What was the new name of that stadium?
Nothing like a whiteout to bring the Penn State community together, and we're doing the same thing with our Nittany Connect network at NittanyGameWeek.com. We're partnering with businesses that support the show, letting our viewers know about their great products and professional services. Make sure to check out NittanyGameWeek.com for all of our web-exclusive content, airtimes for all of our network of stations, previous episodes and interviews. The Nittany Game Week podcast all can be found at one convenient location, NittanyGameWeek.com. And while you are visiting the website, make sure to submit your tailgating and your game pictures. We always finish with some pride picks this week, a special theme with some pooch picks or pride pups, basically a bunch of cute dogs. Show us your spirit. For Jay and Tom, I'm Todd. Thanks so much for watching Nittany Game Week. Enjoy the whiteout, everyone, and we'll see you next time.